Fearless family, welcome back to another episode of the Fearless Footballer Podcast. I just want to start off by saying thank you for all your support, and I just hope that you can share this with a friend, with a teammate, with someone that you know, and get this podcast to continue to grow the way it is, because I'm absolutely loving it so far. It's great to be able to, in a longer form piece of content, express who I am, what I've been through, and hopefully I can provide some education and learning along the way. And the support's been great so far. No matter how many haters there are going to be on TikTok, the support that you receive through Instagram DMs, through personal text messages is absolutely phenomenal. So thank you so much for that. In the last episode, I spoke about asking your parents for support in your journey, and I think that's super critical in your long-term development. The sooner you can start nailing the basics in the gym, the better that you're going to be as an athlete in the long term. But learning how to move effectively and efficiently is super important. But today I wanted to talk about the motivation side of things, and I think this will be a really popular episode and something that will potentially blow up a little bit on TikTok, because there's a lot of young kids out there, and I've had a lot message me about how I stay motivated, how I stay disciplined and hungry and continue to train the way I do. And I think that it's massive, and the times are so different now compared to the young kids coming through in comparison to when I was sort of coming through and developing and training, and the work ethic that I sort of had. For me personally, it's always been something that I've prided myself on, is my work ethic, my discipline, and my want and hunger to get better. And I think that is something that is really hard to teach. And it's for whatever reason, it was always instilled with me from a really young age, whether that was subconsciously from what my parents had told me at a really young age. I honestly have no idea, but for as long as I've known, having my own independence, my own discipline, my own work ethic is something that I've always had and always grown up with. So when people come to me and say that they're struggling with the motivation side of things and they can't find time to train and make up all these excuses, I find it hard to relate to, because I have never dealt with that myself. There's never been, at least since I've been consistently started training, since I was probably 18, 17, I've scheduled in myself like breaks of a week or 2 weeks at the end of a football season. But apart from that, I cannot remember the times where I have just had a week off of training in the gym or doing extra work outside of that. Like, I've always stayed really, really consistent. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons why I look the way I do and how lean I can stay all year round, is purely on the back of my consistency and the work that I've put in, not right now, but the years that I have put in prior to get to where I am today. And that's what I want to discuss on today's podcast. And I had one kid message me, and he's messaged me a couple times just recently, saying that he really struggles with the motivation to go to football training, to do extra work outside of football training. And the response and message that I sent back to him was, if you're struggling with the motivation side of things at an age where football should be really enjoyable, then I honestly don't think that it's the right sport for you, because long term, it is not easy, and your motivation is going to continue to waver, and it'll go up and down so much more than it is now. Like right now, when you're 12, 13, 14, football should be one of the most enjoyable years of like your sporting career, as it was for mine. And if you're struggling to go to training and get motivated, I would look back at your reason why and look at your goals, and I would know that they're definitely not strong enough. If you're just playing sport for the enjoyment, that is totally fine, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. But if you have dreams and visions of playing at the highest level possible, relying on enjoyment is not going to get you to where you want to go. You have to have a really strong reason why you want to get to the top level. And for me, I think deep down, at a young age, I always wanted to be just as good if not better, as my dad, and I wanted to live up to the name, and I wanted to make my parents proud. I think that's something that I've always strived for, and I will continue to strive for, is just to make my parents proud. And I think that's maybe one of the biggest reasons why I was so driven, so disciplined, and worked my ass off, is because I had something that I attached to bigger than myself. And I watched a TikTok the other day, and shout out to Trey. He said it absolutely perfectly, and it's something that I've been saying for a really long time in DMs to people through my social media, is you've got to have a reason why bigger than yourself. You've got to attach your reason why to something bigger than you, because when it gets tough and when you're feeling a little bit down, a little bit unmotivated, it's going to be so easy to take a day off, to take a session off, to take a week off when you've just attached it to yourself. But when you attach it to something bigger than yourself, like your parents, like your grandma, like your sister, like your brothers, if you can somehow find a way to attach it to some of them, and I'll give you an example in a second, then you're going to stay disciplined and motivated when things get really tough. And the example that I want to share with you is one of my high school mates, one that I was relatively close with, and he really looked up to me in a way. He was a year younger, but he was in the same year level at school. And we had a pretty good relationship. Going into year 12, he got diagnosed with a brain tumor, and it's giving me goosebumps at the moment. But he got diagnosed at a brain tumor at 17 years old, he would have been, which is just crazy to think about. And he fought that for so long. He fought that for two years, close to 2 to 3 years. And eventually he did pass away, and that hit me pretty hard, and it just puts things into perspective. Now, I'm not saying that everyone's going to have something like that to relate to, but to watch him go through everything that he did, to how quickly he changed physically, how quickly things turned where he could barely speak, he couldn't move off his bed, was it's traumatizing to see. And it puts things into perspective so clearly, and you just think about how much time you have wasted and how much time you don't want to waste in the future, because time is so precious. And within a day, things can change so quickly. And for him, that's exactly what happened. And I still think about him all the time. I remember his favourite team was the Collingwood Football Club, and I remember when I was playing state under-18s football, I went over to Melbourne to play in the carnival, and I bought a Collingwood Guernsey from Rebel Sport, went to a guy that I knew that was playing there at the time, took a tram, dropped it off to him, took a tram back to our apartment, and then went and picked it up after that, and got the whole Collingwood team to sign it for him and just give him his best wishes. And that sort of stuff fills you up really good, and it gives you that short spurt of motivation. But long term, you need to attach yourself to something bigger than yourself, because you can't always rely on these dramatic events to take you to another level and continue to reignite your motivation and those sorts of things. So my biggest learning, and hopefully you can take this away, is find something that you can attach your career to bigger than yourself. Whether it is your brother, whether it is your grandma that has always supported you from a really young age, whether it's your parents, whether it's just whether it's a best friend, who knows, something that you can attach it to, because as soon as things get tough and as soon as things don't go your way, you're going to find an easy way to give up if it's just all about you. All right. And I think that's why I continue to have that motivation within myself, and I use a little bit of the motivation of people that throw comments my way that are quite negative. I use that as fuel, and it adds fuel to my fire. Yes, it might affect you in that moment a little bit, but for me, I just put it at the back of my mind and go, yep, I know this story is not over yet, and I know one day I'm going to prove you wrong, and everyone's going to be swallowing their words back, because I've been putting in so much work previously. I'm still continuing to put in a heap of amounts of work, and I'm doing more and more work now than I ever have been. And I know that there's going to be a breaking point. I'm going to knock the wall down eventually and things are just going to flow my way. And that's the belief that I have in myself at the moment. But I wouldn't get that belief unless I had put in all the work. And that is the biggest takeaway from today. You got to put in the work. You got to find a way to put in the work, find a way to continue to stay motivated long term. Continue to stay disciplined, continue to stick to your daily habits that need to happen in order to get to where you want to go. Everyone's goals are going to be super different. I'm not saying you have to go out and make the AFL. It might be the SANFL for you. It might be the VFL, the WAFL, playing up in Darwin, playing local level football somewhere in your state, whatever it is. You got to find that drive, that passion within you that ignites you every day and sticks hairs up on your skin when you start to think about those things. And that's what's going to continue to push you to get better, to get stronger, fitter, faster, whatever it is, whatever quality you want to improve on. Hopefully that ignites something within you. Along that journey, stay fearless because, as I said in the last episode, there's going to be a lot of judgment that comes your way and a lot of fear that's attached to that because you're scared of what other people think. But if you put in the work, that is going to give you the belief. When you put in the work, the belief will come because you know that you're super, super close to breaking that wall down. And that's exactly what the point that I am in with my career at the moment. So enjoy yourselves, legends. Continue to stay fearless and absolutely crush it.